Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to another B1M video, and it is why New York built a tree-covered skyscraper. It's literally just come out. This video is literally just like, I think literally like 20 minutes ago it popped up. And I saw it and I was like, you know what, I like this channel and I'm just going to react to it pretty much. But yeah, if you enjoy this and you want more reactions from the channel, let me know in the comments. And yeah, links are in the description to my Instagram, my Twitter for those who want to follow me. Same for my Patreon if you want reactions that I can't post to YouTube for whatever reason, whether they get blocked or yeah, just whatever reason pretty much. But yeah, links are there for those interested. But let's just check this out and see, firstly, see this building, because I don't think I've ever seen this before. And secondly, see why they built it. I don't really know, but yeah, let's just jump into it.
Head over to Manhattan's far west side and you'll spot a new skyscraper on the block.
Oh, so it's now being
Twisting
built.
more than 300 metres into the sky, the Spiral is the latest super tall building taking shape on New York City's ever-evolving skyline.
Yeah, it's fucking huge job.
But this isn't just any old skyscraper. In a sea of glass, the Spiral will add a small touch of green.
This is sick though. Like there's like each level there's like trees. I guess it's spanning around the whole building. Yeah, it's just like a staircase going up the whole side of it. That's sick though. I like that a lot.
Through its cascading landscape terraces that will, yes, you guessed it, spiral around the building. The project's out to set a new standard for office design and finds itself completing at a time when the office tower's having a bit of an identity crisis. After sitting empty for nearly 2 years, there's now a battle underway to lure workers back to their offices.
One thing that can't happen, you can't stay home in your pajamas all day.
The Spiral pulls out all the stops.
See, I thought, because my dad, a lot of people work in the office, but my dad was an office worker. I don't think he does now, because it's changed since the pandemic. They sort of changed it, and they sort of, because obviously you got to pay to rent these offices or this office spaces. So what they were doing was like people working from home, and it was becoming more of a theme. Like COVID sort of began that sort of thing of people working from home. But I guess maybe people aren't as productive at home and stuff. So is that why they're sort of trying to bring people back to office places and stuff? I don't even know if my dad's back in the office, to be honest. Maybe I should. Maybe it's changed since, because again, the effectiveness and like people working from home, it's just not going to get as much work done, because I guess you're going to get more distracted and stuff, right?
Sustainable building practices, indoor-outdoor spaces, and a glimpse of nature 300 metres in the air.
That's a sick view. That looks wild, man. I've never seen anything like this, obviously, but that's nuts.
Mark the start of a new look for the New York skyscraper, or end
So
up
different.
as an exception in the concrete jungle.
But the editing on this channel is next level, man. The graphics and everything.
When it completes later in 2022, the Spiral will be the 4th super tall building to come out of the Hudson Yards neighbourhood. That's a new area platformed over a live rail yard, which, following a massive rezoning effort throughout the 2000s, has seen an explosion of construction projects in recent years.
What the hell is this? What the fuck? This is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
The new zoning codes have led...
Again, what is this? Is this like, I can't say it. Is this just a staircase that just leads to nothing? Is there anything inside this building, or is it just a staircase going up?
to hotels, shops and new public space all opening up in the district. Then in 2016, the architects of Bjarke Ingels Group unveiled plans for a $3.7 billion skyscraper at 66 Hudson
huge,
Yards,
man.
with Tishman Speyer as developers.
Look at it.
Its design took inspiration from the spiral forms commonly found in the natural world and attempted to combine them with New York's classic skyscraper architecture.
Okay.
Now, wind back to the early 1900s and there was very little regulation on building size and use in New York. As towers became taller and more densely packed, the streets of Lower Manhattan were getting darkened by their harsh shadows, and city planners began to get concerned. So in 1916 they passed a detailed zoning resolution. Unlike other cities, its code didn't impose any specific height limitations. Instead, high-rises had to remain within a diagonal plane from the base so that light and air could still reach the streets below.
Oh damn. This
This regulation shaped buildings into stepped pyramids or wedding cake designs. You might
Wedding cake
recognise this
designs.
feature as part of the Art Deco style, or for those of you less up to speed with your architectural eras, it's the building shape in all the Batman movies and comics. Throughout these decades, the famous New York skyline was revolutionised as distinctive skyscrapers sprung up right across Manhattan. Think Rockefeller Center and the Empire State. It wasn't until 1961 when the law was revised to account for more modern infrastructure like parking for cars and open office space. That law is still in effect for New York City buildings today. Now, despite the outdated 1916 code, the spiral still tries to embrace the classic New York form, while recognising that more than 100 years have now gone by. There are more modern materials, floor-to-ceiling glass panels that enclose over the stepped-back architecture, and what the developers are calling sustainable construction practices. As the spiral was going up, it used 2 main hoisting towers so that workers and materials could be transported quickly and efficiently up and down the tower. Unlike traditional construction methods, workers were enclosed in a platform made up of mesh panels. The material minimised wind and meant they could work faster and more safely. How'd you fancy spending your day inside one of these? Now, let's get on to the building's namesake. In a city known as the Concrete Jungle, the spiral introduces a splash of greenery, and no, it's not another rooftop garden. Around the building's exterior is a descending twist of landscape terraces filled with vegetation. The building's spiral connects all the way down to the High Line, New York's incredibly popular 2-kilometre long elevated linear park. The idea is for these terraces.
Wait, what? This is considered a park. Wait, I'm so confused. See, New York has these it does have a lot of parks and stuff, which is obviously good. Like, the more greenery and the more sort of park areas, the better, right? But this is interesting. Wait, I just want to see what it's called, and maybe I'm going to search it up on Google quickly.
Landscape terraces filled with vegetation.
Sounds wild.
The building's spiral connects all the way down to the High Line, New York's incredibly popular 2-kilometre long elevated linear park.
New York's park. God, it's actually a thing. I wonder what it looks like from first person when you're actually there. So it's called the High Line. But that's cool though. I think this is actually really cool, especially in a big city. I mean, it's kind of to be considered a park. It's kind of interesting, but I like it. It's different and it's important, isn't it? That's actually quite cool. I don't know if there's a thing like this in London. There may be, I don't know, but it just sounds so unique for this just to actually be considered a park. Again, maybe these are quite common, but to me it's quite cool just how this is just in the middle of this, right in the middle of New York, right? And it then connects to this building. I love it how it just goes literally across these huge buildings. That is so sick. Wait, is this real? Oh, proposes linear park down New York's Broadway. So this isn't real, this is a proposal. So this isn't real either. But yeah, that's kind of cool. I've never heard about this before. God damn. Interesting.
The idea is for these terraces to give people outdoor access from every floor, creating the chance for some fresh air and a break from sitting at a desk all day, something not all office buildings do. Just imagine being able to take meetings or sip your morning coffee here on a sunny day. Even if you love working in your pyjamas at home, most New Yorkers probably won't have a garden like this.
Yeah, and it probably makes you more productive just to sort of have a little relaxation period in this sort of environment. It's good, man. It's needed. Especially when you're in an office all day.
In early 2022, plants were just beginning to appear on the spiral's facade, and more are set to be added in the warmer months of the year, including shrubbery, vines and trees.
Because the spiral is a full block building, we have different weather conditions on every single elevation. So we have most sun on south and west, whereas on northern sides is very little sun. The west side, because it's facing the river, is when it's extremely windy. And because of the shape of the tower too, we are experiencing pretty extreme wind speeds in the winter months at tower corners.
Once greenery fills each terrace, the spiral will introduce an automated irrigation system so that every plant is properly watered.
So we use every terrace as a capture surface to retain rainwater, basically pump it back into tanks throughout the building, and then reintroduce it into our irrigation system for the terraces after that. Actively using all our horizontal surfaces to sustainably manage rainwater.
The spiral's exterior certainly brings something fresh to the city's architecture, but head inside and that fresh vibe continues. In most skyscrapers, floors typically operate in isolation from each other like this. But in the spiral, the outside terraces become double atriums. They're all interconnected between each other in hopes to spur interaction between workers and offer an alternative to elevators. This might be a little more pleasant than your 6th floor walk-up.
Yeah, for sure.
Green in both design and colour, these features all contribute to the building's effort to achieve LEED Gold standard. That's the global framework for structures to be environmentally friendly. The architects at BIG also hope that the integration between nature and the office will set the standard for future workplaces.
In addition, to seeing plants in vertical elevations, we are too very excited about seeing people at vertical elevation. I would too encourage my colleagues, to consider, right, that it's not only about giving the view, but it's actually, in a sense, giving back to the city, right? That by occupying its vertical space.
That's not to say the spiral didn't come without its challenges.
What is difficult about the spiral is the spiral itself, because you have to imagine that at every single floor we cantilever the building in by 2.5 feet. So there's a constant step, right, which puts a lot of pressure on the stiffness of the building core. We did have to provide horizontal trusses at every floor to contain building sort of willingness to pull itself apart.
Yeah,
right now, around 70% of the building is leased. The largest tenant signed on is Pfizer, the firm behind many of our COVID-19 vaccines, but other notable companies include Turner Construction and Alliance Bernstein. Of course, it remains to be seen just how green this tower's spiralling garden is going to become, and whether its design features are going to be enough to lure people back to the office. But judging from its appearance as it nears completion, it's likely to make a colourful mark on New York's skyline of concrete, steel and glass. Vertical urban greenery has been on the rise in recent decades, but mostly outside the US. Bosco Verticali in Milan and One Central Park in Sydney are just a couple of examples.
This is incredible, man. Imagine living somewhere like this. That would be insane. I don't even know what the Milan one is. Definitely an apartment. I don't know if this one is, but flipping hell, this would just be so nice to live somewhere like this, man.
If we prove to be successful, right, growing that vertical garden on a skyscraper, and then spark the willingness of the workforce to actually come to an office environment, we hope that maybe that will encourage others to undertake similar challenges.
The spiral hopes to drive the idea of sustainable design for New York's future skyscrapers, especially its office buildings. Yes, it's one of the first of its kind in this city, but perhaps the concrete jungle might get a whole new look in years to come. If you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the Definitive Video channel...
As always, man, this channel is so good, man. I love this video so much. It's such a new video, so there's not really many comments. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, definitely different. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool design. I think it would just be cool to see. But maybe this is the start of, like, I say the start. There's buildings that have been built like this anyway, but more office buildings to be more like... Just, I don't know, fun. That's not the right word, because office, like working in an office is never going to be fun. But it just makes it a bit more... I don't know, less depressing, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, interesting video. Hopefully you enjoyed this. And yeah, next time, let's subscribe.